George Clooney playing an aging movie star coming to terms with his present while confronting his past? Yeah, I can buy that. What is going on, everybody? Tom Chattelbash here, and if you love movies and TV like I do, then rest assured you are in the right place. Without further ado, let's review the new Netflix movie Jay Kelly starring George Clooney and Adam Sandler. Now, like I hinted at in the intro, Jay Kelly centers on an aging movie star named Jay Kelly, who is played here by George Clooney, who he's heading to Europe to try to spend a little time with his daughter, but also he's getting honored for his career. And as he's doing that, he's confronting his past while coming to terms with his present. And along for the journey with him is his manager named Ron, who is played here by Adam Sandler. Now, this film comes to us from writer-director Noah Baumbach, someone who I really appreciate as a filmmaker, someone whose writing I really enjoy too. So I was looking forward to this one. His movies can be a little bit hit or miss for me, but when they hit, they really hit that sweet spot, and I really enjoy them. So I was hoping that this was going to be more of a case of the latter than the former. And I'm happy to report that Jay Kelly is actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I was a little bit worried it was going to be perhaps a little bit too self-indulgent or pretentious, and I'm not saying it's entirely devoid of those things, but I think on the whole, this is a really emotionally engaging and super well-made movie that I think is honestly one of the more underrated movies of the year so far. Now, the performances here are fantastic. I mean, George Clooney is he's definitely one of those actors who occasionally he can slip out of that George Clooney persona on film, where he's one of those actors where it's kind of hard for me to shake the fact that I'm watching George Clooney on screen, but there have been some performances from him where I've completely forgotten that it's him on screen, which has been fantastic. And I was hoping that Jay Kelly would be able to deliver something like that, even though in a lot of ways, George Clooney is essentially kind of playing a heightened version of himself. But I really do think he's terrific here. Not only do I think he's his charming, charismatic self, I mean, he can just channel that charisma like it's nobody's business, but he's really emotionally engaging here. And Jay Kelly is someone he's a hard character to root for because he has it all. He doesn't treat the people in his life the best. So it's like, what is it about this guy that is going to make us emotionally invest in him? And fortunately, Baumbach and co-writer Emily Mortimer are able to really flesh out his character in a way that by the time those credits roll, you do feel for this man, even though you know he's made a lot of destructive decisions and a lot of the wrong decisions that have given him this present that is wholly unsatisfying to him. And the supporting performance from Adam Sandler, some of his best work. I mean, I really love when he does some dramatic work, and I think Baumbach gives him a really great character to work with here. And some of the most devastating scenes in the movie have Sandler front and center, just delivering the goods. And a lot of his scenes with Clooney are especially great and are just vibrating with emotional intensity and also just raw emotion. And I loved them together. They made for a fantastic team on screen. And some of the other supporting performances from, say, Laura Dern and Patrick Wilson. Billy Crudup's a huge standout in this movie. He really makes the most of his limited scenes. Performance is just all around so good. And also, this is a handsomely made film. This is a great looking movie. The cinematography from Linus Sandgren, who, if you don't know that name, this is the man behind La La Land and Saltburn and First Man. He's, the DP on the new Dune film coming out. He shot the upcoming Wuthering Heights adaptation, which looks absolutely stunning. This is a man who knows how to make a movie look good, and this is a gorgeous, sumptuous looking film that, honestly, this is a movie that looks way better than it has any right to. But the writing here is what really kept me engaged, what really kept it from faltering, what really kept this movie chugging along, even when it did start to slow down a little bit too much. And I really like the fact that Clooney and Sandler's characters are kind of going on a very similar journey in this film, where they're mirroring each other quite a bit, where they've both created this present where even though there are people in their lives that they care about, they still feel like they're living this very lonely lifestyle, because one's this, huge movie star that has been traveling the world and making movie after movie, but he's barely spent any time with his daughters or with his family. He's still single. He's a man who has a lot of regrets. And you have this manager who's played here by Sandler, who he has this family, he has these people he cares about, but he barely gets to see. He has a long lost love that he never really got to fulfill because of his career. He's put so much of himself into the career of Jay Kelly, nurturing, propelling this person, where he never really took the time for himself, and now he's paying the price for that. So watching their journeys kind of just mirror each other, go alongside one another, but then also intersect, especially in the third act of this film, was really well done and really emotionally potent. And it's actually a pretty light, breezy film, surprisingly. It's definitely not as sluggish as I thought it might be. I will say it definitely is a bit long in the tooth. It runs over 2 hours. hours, and it just doesn't need to be, especially for this story that it's telling. And I also do feel like there are times where it does feel like it's a little bit self-indulgent. There are times where it might be just a smidge pretentious, but thankfully these are like micro doses of those things where it doesn't taint the experience too much. So in the end, I think Jay Kelly is an above average character drama. It's a really emotionally visceral one that really sends this messaging home that, what we choose to do with our lives, we only get one life. So we need to try to make as many of the good decisions as we can. We're human, we're gonna make mistakes, we're gonna make some choices that we may end up regretting, but life is better when you're sharing it with people, when there's love, when there's connection. And so to live a lifestyle where you're so alone and isolated, where maybe you've achieved what you've wanted to achieve, but at an insane cost. And the way the film explores that, it's just so well done. So in the end, I'm going to give Jay Kelly 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this one. I feel like there's going to be tons of people out there who probably think it's too slow or, too self-indulgent or pretentious. And I wouldn't be surprised if I'm in the minority on this one. But I enjoyed this one a lot. And I think it just continues to show that Clooney has a lot more to offer than just being George Clooney on screen. Not that he hasn't shown that before. And of course, Adam Sandler, please do more dramatic work. You're a terrific actor. Look, you can make as many crappy comedies as you want, but just keep going back to some really great dramas. You're so good at it. So that's my take on Jay Kelly. Let me know what you thought of the movie. If you've streamed it on Netflix or if you happen to see it in theaters and its limited run, let me know down below what you thought of the movie. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you think it's just okay? Let me know down below. And until next time, everybody, I'm Tom Chattelbash, YouTube's most reliable movie critic.